Alexander, first of all, I'd like to greet you in Kiev. It's such wonderful news that they came around. First of all, how you came up with the idea, because we all know Diana Vreeland, she made like a global impact and she was out of time. How you came up with the idea to do a perfume line, not the clothes, for example?
My grandmother had a passion for
Fragrance.
I'll start again.
No problem.
My grandmother had a passion for fragrance. Mm-hmm. She thought that it was just essential to wear fragrance. Mm-hmm. She couldn't imagine leaving the house without fragrance. Mm-hmm. Her house was always very fragrant. So to me, when I started looking at if we could create a product under her name, what would that be? It immediately became fragrance because I think that a great fragrance house has a dream. And my grandmother really does represent a dream. And there is a search for creativity and a search for beauty and a search for sophistication, and she really embodies all those things. And I think that in a fragrance you can recreate that. So we looked at from the perspective of if she was 35 today, what would she love? And so we created this collection all based upon different ideas of what she would wear and love at the age of 35.
Actually, do you remember her? Did you catch a little bit of glimpse of
I did.
Diana?
She passed away when I was 34, and I was very close to her for all of that, for the first half of my life.
So what's the fragrance you remember the most when you're thinking about her? Is there any particular fragrance?
What was wonderful was that she loved rich and very long-lasting fragrances, and so it really permitted us to explore a lot of different avenues in fragrance, but we search for fragrances that are very feminine, very beautiful, very long-lasting, and very luxurious.
They are. They definitely are. Tell us a little bit about the scents itself. I know that you worked with the perfumers, but still, from my point of view as a beauty expert, they're a little bit of eccentric. Still, you're using oriental notes and woody notes, but everything is eccentric, very Diana-like, a little bit.
I think that you have to decide if you want to be true to yourself or copy other people. And that's sort of a big decision in life. And I think that one of the wonderful things about her is that she was always very true to herself, and she lived very much her own life. And I think that in creating this fragrance collection, we wanted to do unique, beautiful stories that are not like anybody else, but that have a real consistency of elegance and seductiveness and sophistication,
a womanhood.
Yeah. But a smart, strong, dynamic, intelligent woman, and that's what we really have done. And so we play with color, we play with words, we work with great perfumers, we work with great art directors, and we do things that are as beautiful as we possibly can.
They're kind of timeless, I should say, and because the fragrance and the design of the bottles, they're very, bold.
As was she. She was very timeless.
She was ahead of her time.
Yeah.
Actually, what was her? What do you remember the quotes? Her fashion quotes on life. It's kind of now very popular. Do you remember any particular?
I think that the most powerful for me was when she started to work in fashion. She did a column called "Why Don't You?"
Yeah.
And I think that "Why Don't You" is just this important message of empowerment, of believing in people and people believing in themselves, that we try to instill in every bottle in the collection. So it's a very powerful message as far as we're concerned.
You have very interesting titles, the names of the perfumes. They're kind of even provocative. What is the story behind all?
We wanted to work with two of my grandmother's legacies, her love of color and her love of words. And so all the fragrances are named after her quotes. And so we have Absolutely Vital, and we have Simply Divine, and we have Devastatingly Chic, and we have Staggeringly Beautiful. So this is really how she spoke. It's harder to translate in a foreign language, but those are really the words that she used.
Well, English is international language now, so...
It's difficult in English also.
Also, but that's beautiful. Tell us, what is your favorite fragrance, which is very close to your heart? Do you have one?
We have one, and it's called Daringly Different. It's an iris oud, and I think it's wonderfully seductive. It was created as inspiration for her love of Morocco, and it has this sort of smoky sensuality and richness. I just think it's a very beautiful scent, and I love wearing it, and I just think it's a wonderful fragrance for men or for women.
But all of the fragrances are genderless, yeah?
You know, the world of fragrance, as long as when you put it on your skin, it all smells different based on who you are. And so it's a very personal voyage.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for waiting so
Yeah,
long.
no problem. It was a pleasure.